right, here we go. Buying a home in Orlando, Florida for $1 million+. How much should you put down? Here's the straight answer. 20% down is a starting point. It's not automatically the best down payment. The right amount depends on what happens to your mortgage pricing, monthly payment, jumbo versus conforming options, cash reserves, and liquidity after closing. For some Orlando buyers, 20%, that's the right answer. For others, 25 or 30% can create a meaningful financing advantage. For some financially strong buyers, keeping more cash liquid while using a larger jumbo mortgage may actually make more sense. Here's the rule I want you to remember. Don't decide how much to put down until you know what each additional dollar is actually buying you. Here's one of the first questions buyers ask me. Does buying a $1 million home in Orlando automatically require a jumbo loan? The answer is no. For 2026, a one-unit conforming loan limit for Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and Lake County is $832,750. And the limit is established by the Federal Housing Agency. So if you're purchasing a $1 million home and put 20% down, your mortgage would be $800,000. Pretty straightforward math. That's below the $832,750 conforming limit. So a $1 million home with 20% down does not automatically require a jumbo mortgage. That's an important distinction. The purchase price doesn't determine whether your mortgage is jumbo. The loan amount does. Now watch what happens when we increase the purchase price just a little. Let's say you're buying a home for $1,050,000. 20% down, that equals $210,000. That leaves a mortgage of $840,000. Remember, the 2026 conforming loan limit is $832,750. So you're only $7,250 above the conforming limit. That's where the strategy becomes important. Instead of putting $210,000 down, you could potentially put approximately $217,250 down and reduce the mortgage to the $832,750 conforming limit. So the difference between potentially using conforming financing and jumbo financing could be just $7,250. Would I automatically tell you to put extra $7,250 down? Absolutely not. I would price both options, let you see them side by side, but that's exactly the type of situation where we're comparing. That makes sense. Another question I hear is, should I put 20, 25, 30% down on a $1 million plus Orlando home? That answer depends on changes at each level. Take a $1.5 million home. 20% down, $300,000. Your mortgage would be $1.2 million. 25% down is $375,000. That's another $75,000. 30% down, $450,000. That's another $150,000 compared with the 20% down. And 40% down would be $600,000. That's another $300,000 compared putting the 20% down. So I don't just ask, can you afford to put 30% down? I ask, what are you getting in return for that additional $150,000? That is the part of the conversation I think that gets missed. A large down payment can potentially give you several benefits. It can reduce your mortgage balance. It reduces your principal and interest payment. Depending on your loan program and your qualifications, Reaching a different loan-to-value level may affect pricing or underwriting. It might also change whether you're considering conforming or jumbo financing. But here's the mistake. More down is not automatically better simply because more down means less debt. You have to measure the benefit. If another $50,000 creates a meaningful financing improvement, that's worth evaluating. If another $200,000 produces very little difference other than smaller balance, then we should have a completely different conversation. Because once that $200,000 goes into the property, it becomes equity. You still own it, but it's no longer liquid. That leads to another question. Affluent Orlando buyers should be asking, how much cash should I keep after buying a luxury home? That isn't one universal number. Your mortgage program may have reserve requirements, but required reserves and the amount of liquidity that makes you financially comfortable aren't necessarily the same thing. Maybe you own a business. Maybe you have substantial investments, or you're planning renovations, or maybe expecting a large tax obligation, or maybe you'll buy another property. You could even have a substantial liquid reserve simply helps you sleep better at night. Here's a comparison I like to make. A buyer puts 40% down but leaves themselves with very little liquid cash. Buyer B puts 20% down but retains several hundred thousands of dollars in liquid reserves. Which buyer is stronger financially? You cannot answer that question from the down payment percentage alone. A larger down payment does not automatically create a stronger balance sheet. Here's another exact question. Should I put money down just to avoid a jumbo loan in Orlando? Sometimes, but not automatically. Let's go back to the $1.05 million home. You're only $7,250 over the conforming limit at 20%. That deserves a serious comparison. Now consider a $1.5 million home at 20%. Your mortgage is $1.2 million. To bring that mortgage all the way down to the $832,750, you would need approximately $667,250 down. That's roughly 44.5% of the purchase price. Compared with putting 20% down, you would be committing approximately $367,250 more cash to the house. So ask yourself, is avoiding the jumbo loan worth $370,000? Maybe, but we need numbers before answering that question. The goal is not to avoid a jumbo loan. The goal is to determine whether avoiding the jumbo is worth the capital required. This conversation becomes even more important if you're self-employed Orlando home buyer or business owner. Why? Because cash you're considering putting into that home may also be working capital, tax reserves, investment capital, payroll, money for expansion, or money for another acquisition. Imagine putting another $200,000 into your house to reduce your mortgage. That may be exactly the right decision. But if you're a business owner, the real question is that the highest value use of this $200,000? That's the bigger than the mortgage qualification. That's why I believe financing a luxury home should be looked at as part of your overall financial strategy. If you're trying to decide how much to put down on $1 million plus home in Orlando, here are 6 questions I want you to answer. Number 1, what does the next dollar of down payment actually buy you? Does it improve pricing, payment, or structure? Number 2, are you crossing an important loan to value threshold? 20%, 25, or 30% may not produce identical financing outcomes. Number 3, does the down payment change jumbo versus conforming financing? Now remember, Orlando in 2026 is $832,750. Number 4, how much liquidity remains after closing? Don't evaluate the house without evaluating your balance sheet afterwards. Number 5, what is the complete monthly housing expense? Not just principal and interest. Think taxes, insurance, HOA, or condo fees, CDD assessments, or other property expenses. And number 6, what are you trying to accomplish? Lowest payment, maximum liquidity, preserving investments, keeping business capital, paying the mortgage down aggressively, could be buying another property. Different goals can produce completely different down payment strategies. So let's answer the original question one more time. How much should you put down on $1 million plus home in Orlando? There is no universal percentage. 20% is often a useful starting point. But the better answer is put down the amount that gives you the best combination of mortgage pricing, monthly payment, reserves, liquidity, and financing structure for your specific financial goals. And before putting another $50,000, $100,000, or $300,000 into the property, know what the additional money is buying you. I'm Ron Roberts, Orlando mortgage broker, strategic home loan advisor with Roberts Home Loans. If you're buying $1 million plus home in Orlando, Windermere, Winter Park, Dr. Phillips, Lake Nona, even Winter Garden, Celebration over in Clermont, or elsewhere throughout Orange, Seminole, Osceola, or Lake County, I'd be happy to help you model the transaction before you commit your cash. Bring me the purchase price, bring me the down payment you're considering, and tell me what you're trying to accomplish. We'll compare the appropriate financing structure side by side so you can see your estimate mortgage payment, cash to close, financing costs, reserves, and liquidity. Listen, use the link in the description to schedule a call, Conforming to Jumbo Strategy Call with me, or you can call or text me directly, 321-332-8049. Again, I'm Ron Roberts, Roberts Home Loans. And remember, you worked hard to build your capital. Before you put another dollar into the house, know what that dollar is buying you. Take care. See you on the next one.